ladies and gentlemen. In a world that constantly urges us to be connected, to be surrounded by people, and to always have the noise of life filling the space around us, there is one truth that too many overlook: being alone is not a weakness, it's a source of great power. We are often told that we need others to succeed, to be happy, to feel validated. And while relationships and community are vital parts of life, the true strength, the kind that leads to real transformation, is built in the quiet moments when we stand alone. When you are alone, you confront yourself, you face your strengths, but more importantly, you face your weaknesses. You discover who you truly are, what you really want, and what you're truly capable of. The power in solitude comes from the ability to create space for reflection, growth, and clarity, things you can't always find in a room full of distractions. The most successful people, the happiest people, the people who truly lead in this world, often know how to be alone. They know how to tap into that quiet power that allows them to reset, recalibrate, and rise higher than ever before. When you're alone, you're not caught up in the opinions or distractions of others. You can think clearly, and you can focus on what's truly important. The best ideas often come when we're not distracted, when we have the space to focus on our own thoughts and intentions. The truth is, you'll never fully understand yourself unless you spend time alone. It's in these moments of solitude that you begin to truly understand your desires, your fears, and your potential. Being alone is like holding up a mirror to your soul, allowing you to see yourself without any filters. When you learn to be alone, you develop emotional strength. You learn to face your fears and insecurities head on without relying on others to give you validation. This resilience will serve you in every area of your life, especially when the challenges come knocking. Alone time cultivates independence. You become less dependent on others for your happiness, your success, or your sense of worth. You begin to realize that you are the creator of your own life, and the only true approval you need is your own. Solitude often sparks creativity. When there's no one around to influence your thoughts, you allow your imagination to run wild. The great ideas, the breakthroughs, and the moments of genius often happen when you're alone because you're free from outside noise and influence. You cannot grow without introspection. Time alone allows you to reflect on your past, evaluate your progress, and plan your future. It is in these moments of reflection that you find the lessons and insights that push you forward. When you spend time alone, you learn to trust yourself. You make decisions for yourself. You take responsibility for your own actions. This self-reliance is empowering because you stop waiting for others to guide you or make decisions for you. You take control of your own destiny. So let me leave you with this thought: the most powerful people aren't those who are constantly surrounded by others. The truly powerful people are those who know how to stand alone, to build themselves from within, and to move forward with purpose and confidence. Being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means being empowered. It means taking the time to discover who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going. In solitude, you unlock your potential. You unlock your power. And that, my friends, is the greatest strength you can ever possess. When you're alone, you have the rare gift of clarity and focus. In a world filled with constant noise and distractions, this is more valuable than ever. Think about it. How often do you feel overwhelmed by the endless demands of others, the constant flood of information, and the pressure to be everywhere at once? It's easy to lose track of what's truly important. But when you're alone, you have the chance to pause, reflect, and regain your bearings. In these quiet moments, the fog starts to clear. You can look at your goals with fresh eyes and evaluate your progress without external noise clouding your judgment. You begin to ask yourself the tough questions: what do I really want? What's holding me back? And when you're not trying to please anyone else or meet anyone else's expectations, the answers start to come. That's the power of clarity. When you stop chasing every distraction, when you stop listening to all the conflicting voices around you, you're able to hear your own thoughts. You can finally cut through the clutter and focus on what truly matters. It's like you're looking at your life through a lens that sharpens everything: your priorities, your purpose, your direction. Without clarity, you wander, but with it, you move forward with confidence. Now, focus is the natural next step. Once you know what matters, you can direct your energy with laser precision toward your goals. Focus is the ability to eliminate the distractions and channel your efforts into one thing at a time. In solitude, you don't have to worry about being pulled in 100 different directions. You're free to put your full attention on what you've decided is important. When you can focus without interruption, that's when you make real progress. It's in the quiet moments of solitude that you're able to prioritize, plan, and execute with purpose. People who achieve great things aren't those who are bouncing around from task to task, always reacting to life. They're the ones who know how to get clear on their mission and then stay focused until they reach their destination. So if you want to unlock your potential, start by embracing the power of being alone. In those moments of solitude, you will find the clarity to understand what truly matters and the focus to pursue it relentlessly. And that's where the magic happens. When you spend time alone, you embark on a journey of self-discovery, a process that's absolutely essential for anyone who wants to live a life of meaning and purpose. Too often we're caught up in the noise of the world, constantly responding to the demands and expectations of others. We're chasing the next thing, trying to meet everyone else's standards, and in the process, we lose touch with who we really are. But when you get quiet and spend time by yourself, you give yourself the chance to truly listen to your own inner voice. It's in these moments of solitude that you begin to peel back the layers. You start to see the parts of yourself you've overlooked, or perhaps even hidden away. You recognize the qualities that make you unique, the things you're passionate about, and the values that shape your decisions. Most importantly, you begin to see where you've been holding yourself back. You realize the stories you've told yourself, the ones that said you weren't good enough, smart enough, or capable enough, and you start to rewrite them. You begin to understand that the limitations you've been living with weren't put there by the world, they were placed there by you. And in those moments of self-reflection, you get the chance to release them. Self-discovery also means becoming clear about your strengths. When you're constantly surrounded by others, you can start to rely too much on external validation to define your abilities. But when you're alone, you learn to trust yourself. You get to know what you're really capable of when there's no one else around to give you feedback. And that's when true confidence is born, not the kind that comes from praise or recognition, but the kind that comes from knowing deep down that you have what it takes. But self-discovery isn't just about uncovering the good parts of yourself, it's about facing the shadows as well. It's in the quiet of solitude that you can examine your fears, your insecurities, and your doubts. You confront the parts of you that have held you back, the habits you've allowed to shape your life, and the stories you've been telling yourself about your own limitations. When you're alone, you don't have to hide from these uncomfortable truths. You can face them, understand them, and ultimately transform them. As you go through this process, you start to see your life differently. You realize that all of the answers you've been seeking were always inside you, waiting to be discovered. Being alone gives you the space to ask the important questions: who am I really? What do I want? What is my true purpose? And through this process of self-discovery, you start to unlock the power within you. You begin to live not according to what others expect or what society dictates, but according to what feels true to who you really are. Self-discovery is a process that takes time, and it requires a willingness to sit with yourself and be honest about what you find. But the rewards are immense. The more you discover about yourself, the more you can align your actions with your true values and desires. And when you start living from that place of self-awareness, you'll begin to see your life unfold in ways you never imagined. Because true power doesn't come from following the crowd, it comes from knowing and trusting yourself, even in the quietest moments. When you spend time alone, you begin to cultivate emotional resilience, a quality that's absolutely vital for anyone who wants to live a successful and fulfilling life. Life isn't always smooth sailing. It's filled with challenges, setbacks, and moments that test our limits. The key to weathering those storms, to not being knocked off course by every difficulty, is emotional resilience. And you build this resilience in those moments when you are alone, facing your own emotions and experiences head-on. You see, when you're constantly surrounded by others, it's easy to look to them for comfort or validation. You can lean on them for support, or even to escape the discomfort of your own emotions. But when you're alone, you don't have that external crutch. It's just you and your thoughts. And that's where the real work begins. You learn to sit with your emotions without letting them control you. You learn to face your fears, your anger, your sadness, and your doubts, not by avoiding them, but by accepting them and understanding that they don't define you. Emotional resilience is the ability to not let life's hardships defeat you. It's knowing that the storms will come, but that you have the strength inside you to endure them. Alone time teaches you to process emotions in a healthy way rather than reacting impulsively or letting negativity take root. When you learn to sit in solitude, you give yourself the opportunity to fully experience and understand your emotions. You realize that emotions are not permanent. They come and go like the weather. What matters is not allowing those feelings to dictate your actions or your future. The more time you spend alone, the more you learn about your emotional triggers. You start to understand the situations that throw you off balance and why they affect you the way they do. With this awareness, you can choose how to respond rather than reacting out of habit or impulse. Emotional resilience doesn't mean you're immune to pain or frustration. It means that you develop the strength to move through those emotions without letting them paralyze you. You gain the ability to bounce back more quickly, to get back on track after setbacks, and to keep moving forward even when things get tough. One of the most powerful aspects of emotional resilience is the ability to take responsibility for your own emotional state. It's so easy to blame others or circumstances for how we feel. But when you're alone, you learn that your emotions are your own responsibility. You realize that no one else can make you feel anything. You are the one who decides how you respond to life, and that's a game changer. It puts the power back in your hands. Every time you sit alone and confront the difficult emotions that arise, whether it's disappointment, anger, fear, or sadness, you're strengthening your emotional resilience. You're building the inner fortitude to face life's ups and downs with grace, to rise above the challenges that come your way, and to keep moving forward with courage. Because emotional resilience is not about avoiding pain or hardship, it's about facing it, learning from it, and using it to become stronger. When you learn to be emotionally resilient, you take control of your life. You stop being a victim of your circumstances, and instead you become the creator of your emotional state. You develop the strength to handle whatever comes your way, knowing that no matter how hard it gets, you have the ability to overcome, to grow, and to rise above. And that, my friends, is one of the greatest powers you can ever possess. When you spend time alone, you develop a crucial quality that few people truly understand: independence. In today's world, it's easy to fall into the trap of relying on others for approval, direction, or happiness. Everywhere you look, there's someone telling you what to do, how to feel, or what's best for you. But independence comes from realizing that your life is yours to create, and that you don't need anyone else to define who you are or what you can accomplish. True independence starts with the understanding that you are the architect of your own life. It means you no longer need to look to others for validation or permission to pursue your dreams. When you spend time alone, you learn that you are fully capable of making decisions for yourself, handling challenges on your own, and finding your own path. You stop waiting for someone else to tell you it's okay to move forward. You realize that the only approval you need is your own. And with that independence comes freedom, the freedom to make choices based on your own values, desires, and beliefs, not based on what others expect of you. When you're alone, you're not bound by anyone else's opinions. You get to explore your own interests, define your own goals, and decide what success looks like for you. Independence is the courage to trust yourself, to make choices that reflect your true desires, even if they go against the grain or challenge the status quo. Independence also means taking responsibility. When you're alone, you face the reality that no one else can make your decisions for you. No one else can live your life or experience your challenges, and that's empowering. It's easy to blame others or to make excuses when things don't go the way you want. But when you learn to be independent, you realize that you have the power to shape your future. If you don't like where you're at, you can change it. If you're not happy with your results, you can adjust your actions. Independence means you own your choices, good or bad, and you accept full responsibility for the life you're creating. The more independent you become, the more you stop relying on external factors to dictate your happiness. You stop looking to others to fulfill your needs, to provide validation, or to make you feel worthy. You start realizing that true fulfillment comes from within. You start realizing that the power to be happy, successful, and fulfilled is always with you. As your independence grows, so does your confidence. You develop the strength to make decisions on your own and the wisdom to trust your instincts. You don't need someone else's approval to feel good about your choices. You become more comfortable in your own skin because you no longer seek constant reassurance from others. Independence doesn't mean isolation. It doesn't mean pushing everyone away. It means standing on your own 2 feet while still connecting with others on your terms. It means not being afraid to walk your own path, even if it looks different from the paths others are taking. The more time you spend alone, the more you develop this inner strength, this quiet confidence that says, I can do this. You don't wait for someone to tell you what's possible. You know that if you want something, you have the power to go after it and create it. In the end, independence is the freedom to live life on your own terms. It's the ability to move through the world with the knowledge that you are fully capable of handling whatever comes your way. And once you develop that independence, nothing can hold you back. You stop looking for external sources of validation, and instead you find your strength in your own ability to create the life you want. It's a power that's always been inside you. It just takes the courage to realize it. When you spend time alone, you tap into one of the most powerful resources you have: creative energy. This is the kind of energy that fuels innovation, inspires new ideas, and drives personal transformation. But here's the catch: creativity doesn't come from being constantly surrounded by noise, distractions, or the expectations of others. It thrives in the quiet moments when you give yourself the space to think, reflect, and explore. You see, we often make the mistake of thinking creativity is something that just hits us, that it's a sudden burst of inspiration that comes out of nowhere. But the truth is, creativity is something you cultivate. It's born from solitude, from the freedom to think without interruptions, and from the opportunity to engage with your own thoughts in a meaningful way. When you're alone, you can dig deep inside yourself and give your mind the room it needs to wander, to explore new ideas, and to make connections that weren't obvious before. In these moments, your mind becomes a playground, a space where possibilities are endless and ideas flow freely. The beauty of being alone is that you stop trying to conform to the ideas, opinions, and limitations of the people around you. You stop comparing yourself to others, and you stop worrying about what's expected of you. Instead, you start thinking for yourself, and that's when your true creative energy emerges. You allow yourself the freedom to think differently, to question assumptions, and to come up with ideas that might have seemed impossible or impractical before. Creativity thrives when we are unburdened by the judgments or constraints of others. But it's not just about thinking up new ideas. It's about giving yourself the time and space to develop and refine those ideas into something real. Creativity isn't just an abstract thought. It's the ability to take something intangible and turn it into something tangible, something that adds value to the world. Whether it's a business idea, a work project, a piece of art, or even a new way of solving a problem, creative energy gives you the ability to bring your vision to life. But to do that, you need to give yourself the space to explore it fully without the pressure of outside influences. Being alone doesn't mean being isolated or cut off from the world. It means choosing to embrace stillness so you can hear your own thoughts. And when you give yourself that space, you find that creativity is always there, waiting to be expressed. Sometimes it's in the quiet moments of reflection that you come up with your best ideas. Sometimes it's in the solitude of a walk or in a quiet room when you allow your mind to roam free. It's in these moments of isolation that the greatest breakthroughs often happen, not because of external circumstances, but because you gave yourself the time and the freedom to think deeply. Creative energy also requires a level of trust in yourself. When you're alone, you have to believe that your ideas matter. You have to trust that your creativity has value and that your unique perspective can contribute to the world in a meaningful way. Too often, we look for validation from others before we even get started, and that kills the flow of creativity. But when you're alone, you learn to trust your own instincts. You give yourself permission to fail, to make mistakes, and to experiment without the fear of judgment. Creativity is about taking risks and exploring new avenues, and when you're alone, you are free to do that. Another beautiful thing about creative energy is that it's contagious. The more you tap into it, the more it grows. Once you unlock that flow of creativity, you start to see opportunities everywhere. You begin to think outside the box, to approach challenges from different angles, and to generate ideas that were previously outside your reach. The more you engage with your own creativity, the more ideas you'll come up with, and the more solutions you'll find. At its core, creative energy is about creating something out of nothing, about taking the raw material of your thoughts and turning them into something real and impactful. And the only way to tap into that creative energy is by giving yourself the space to think, to dream, and to explore, without the noise or pressure of the outside world. The most successful people, the most innovative people, are those who have learned to cultivate their creativity, who know how to tap into that quiet well of energy that resides within them, and who have the courage to bring their ideas to life. When you're alone, you're not just resting or passing time. You're actively engaging with your creative self, and that is where the magic happens. The more you embrace solitude, the more you tap into that endless well of creativity that has always been there, waiting for you to unlock it. And that, my friends, is the energy that can fuel not only your dreams, but your success. When you spend time alone, you give yourself the greatest opportunity for personal growth. It's in those quiet moments when it's just you and your thoughts that you begin to reflect on who you are and where you're headed. We live in a world that is constantly pushing us to move faster, to achieve more, and to live up to the expectations of others. But personal growth doesn't come from keeping up with the noise or racing through life. It comes from taking the time to slow down, to look inward, and to honestly assess where you stand. Personal growth is about understanding that you are not a finished product. You are a work in progress, always evolving, always becoming more. And the key to unlocking your potential lies in the time you spend alone, working on yourself. When you're alone, you have the chance to reflect on your experiences, to look at your actions and results without judgment, and to ask yourself tough questions about what you want and where you want to go. This self-awareness is the foundation of growth. It's only by taking a step back that you can begin to understand your strengths, your weaknesses, your habits, and your mindset. And only when you see yourself clearly can you begin to make meaningful changes. Spending time alone gives you the space to evaluate your life honestly. You get to ask yourself what's working, what isn't working, what needs to change. This type of introspection isn't always easy. It can be uncomfortable. But without it, you risk staying stagnant, repeating the same mistakes, and living a life that is dictated by default rather than by design. Personal growth demands that you confront your weaknesses, but it also gives you the chance to transform them into strengths. It's about identifying areas where you've been limiting yourself, whether it's in your mindset, your relationships, your habits, or your belief in your own potential, and deciding to do something about it. The beauty of personal growth is that it's a continuous journey. No one ever truly arrives. You don't hit a point where you can say, I've made it. Instead, personal growth is about setting new goals, pushing past your limits, and continuously becoming the best version of yourself. And the only way to make progress on this journey is by taking the time to reflect, to learn, and to evolve. When you're alone, you give yourself the space to create a vision for your future and start working toward it. It's in these moments that you can clear away the distractions, focus on what's most important, and build the habits that will propel you forward. Personal growth also requires discipline. It's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life, to let the days slip by without any real intention. But growth happens when you actively decide to invest in yourself, to challenge yourself, and to take consistent action. Being alone gives you the time to develop that discipline, to work on the skills that matter, and to hold yourself accountable. It's in solitude that you find the strength to push through discomfort, to break old patterns, and to forge new paths. As you grow, you begin to see the world differently. You stop reacting to life as if everything is happening to you, and instead, you start to see yourself as the creator of your circumstances. You take responsibility for where you are, and more importantly, for where you're going. Personal growth is the recognition that you have the power to shape your life, not by waiting for things to change, but by actively changing yourself. Another powerful aspect of personal growth is that it requires you to step out of your comfort zone. It's easy to stay where you are, to stick with what you know, and to avoid the unknown. But growth only happens when you're willing to stretch yourself, to try new things, and to embrace discomfort. When you spend time alone, you have the chance to face those fears and push beyond them. You begin to see that the challenges that once seemed overwhelming are actually opportunities for growth. The more you grow, the more you realize how much potential you truly have. Personal growth is about uncovering that potential, about realizing that there is always room to improve, always room to expand. It's about cultivating a mindset of continuous learning, knowing that the more you invest in yourself, the more you have to offer the world. When you take the time to develop yourself, you become more capable, more resilient, and more prepared to take on whatever challenges life throws your way. In the end, personal growth is about becoming the person you are meant to be. It's about understanding that you have the ability to change, to improve, and to create the life you want. And it all starts with those quiet moments of self-reflection, where you confront your own truth, make decisions for your future, and take action toward becoming a better version of yourself. When you commit to growth, you unlock your full potential and set yourself on the path to living a life of purpose, fulfillment, and success. When you spend time alone, you unlock one of the most powerful forces you can possess: empowerment. Empowerment is the ability to take control of your own life, to make decisions with confidence, and to trust in your own abilities. It's the realization that you are the author of your own story, and the only person who can determine your destiny is you. And the best part, this empowerment is cultivated in the quiet, solitary moments when you give yourself permission to step away from the noise and distractions of the world. When you're constantly surrounded by others, it's easy to rely on them for validation, approval, or direction. We look to others to tell us what's right, to reassure us when we're unsure, and to give us the confidence to move forward. But when you spend time alone, you strip away all of those external sources of influence. And that's when you start to tap into your own inner strength. You realize that you don't need anyone else to tell you what to do or how to feel. You have everything within you to make decisions, to take action, and to move toward your goals. Empowerment comes from knowing that you are enough as you are, and that you have everything you need to succeed. Empowerment also means taking full responsibility for your life. When you're alone, you face the truth about where you are and where you're headed. You stop blaming circumstances, other people, or the past for your current situation. You realize that your life is the sum of your choices. And in that realization comes freedom, the freedom to change, to grow, and to decide where you want to go next. This type of personal responsibility is one of the most empowering things you can do. Instead of feeling like a victim of your circumstances, you begin to see yourself as the creator of your future. You understand that while you can't control everything that happens to you, you have complete control over how you respond and what actions you take. The more you embrace empowerment, the more you trust yourself. You begin to understand that you are capable of making decisions that are in alignment with your values, your goals, and your vision for your life. You no longer need the approval of others to feel secure in your choices. You've learned that your intuition is your best guide and you have the courage to follow it, even when the path isn't clear. Empowerment is about trusting your own judgment, knowing that you have the skills, the resources, and the mindset to navigate whatever challenges come your way. Another key to empowerment is self-reliance. When you spend time alone, you become more resourceful. You learn that you don't need to depend on anyone else to solve your problems or to help you achieve your goals. You start to realize that you have the capacity to figure things out on your own. Whether it's finding solutions to challenges or making progress toward your dreams, you trust in your ability to take the next step even when the way forward isn't obvious. You begin to understand that your success depends on your own actions, not on waiting for someone else to take the lead for you. Empowerment is also about overcoming fear and doubt. Everyone experiences these feelings at some point, but when you are alone with your thoughts, you have the opportunity to confront them directly. You don't run away from the fear or let it dictate your choices. Instead, you acknowledge it, you examine it, and you move forward anyway. You realize that fear is just a feeling, it doesn't have to control you. Empowerment comes from knowing that you can move through fear and uncertainty and still take action. You begin to see fear as a signal that you're about to grow, that you're on the verge of something new and important, and that's when you step into your power. One of the greatest things about empowerment is that it fuels your confidence. The more you trust yourself, the more you take responsibility for your life, and the more you act from a place of inner strength, the more confident you become. You stop second-guessing yourself and start trusting that you know what's best for you. And this confidence doesn't come from external validation, it comes from within. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't rely on what others think of you or what the world says you should be doing. It's the confidence that comes from taking action, from moving forward with clarity and purpose, no matter what others may say or think. When you embrace empowerment, you also start to develop a sense of inner peace. You stop looking outside yourself for the answers, and you begin to trust that you have everything you need to handle whatever life throws your way. You stop being at the mercy of external circumstances and start realizing that the power to change your life is always within you. This inner peace comes from knowing that you are in control. You are the one who gets to decide how you respond to life. You are the one who gets to decide how you show up. And this is where true power lies, within yourself. Ultimately, empowerment is about taking ownership of your life, making choices with confidence, and trusting yourself to create the future you desire. It's about realizing that you are the one in charge, that you have the power to shape your own destiny. And when you embrace that truth, you stop waiting for permission from others, and you start living life on your own terms. You become the person who is in control of their own story, the person who makes things happen, not waits for things to happen. And that is where true strength lies, in knowing that you have everything within you to succeed.